Welcome to Ear Biscuits, the podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link. This week at the round table of dim lighting, we are saying goodbye for now to this wonderful podcast that we have shared with you.
Do you plan on crying?
No.
Well, that's the best kind of crying, is unplanned.
I know. I think that you don't want to plan to cry. That's kind of. Do I expect to cry?
If you're a key witness in a case that's important to you, or you're the mother of the
Can't relate.
perpetrator.
Are you speaking from experience?
I'm not the mother of anybody.
Well, that's a good point. Are you planning on crying?
I don't plan on crying. I don't know if I will. But here's what we're going to do today in this last episode of Ear Biscuits. For now, we say for now because we did this before and it came back.
That's right.
We asked you to tell us what your favorite episode was. And this is going to serve a couple of purposes. Number one, it's going to remind us what
Right.
we have done on this podcast so that we can reminisce along with you.
Right.
Number two, I think this is going to serve as a bit of greatest hits, maybe unofficial greatest hits, that
Okay.
gives you the opportunity to go back and listen to what people think are some of the best episodes. Maybe you have listened to these all. Maybe you need to go back and listen to them again. Maybe you're a newer Ear Biscuiteer, and this is a way for you to know what some of those other things. There's quite a catalog.
I like that.
We've been doing this for a long time, so this could be a way for you to have a reference of other things that you could go listen to.
It also highlights the fact that I'm grateful that we have these episodes that will exist forever, you would think. You know,
Until the internet
loosely.
goes black.
Yeah. They'll last as long as
The machines take over.
who knows, but the fact that it's out there and you can re-listen, and we can re-listen if we got to. If we need to get some story straight, we've been on record. I think over the course of this conversation, yes, our memories will be jogged, and my gratitude for this show will swell even beyond what it is at this moment.
Who knows? Maybe by the end of this, we'll decide not to stop. No. I'm just,
Well,
that's a little tease, maybe.
I think that's why I don't think I'm going to be too emotional, because I believe in the decision to take an indefinite break. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that that I'm not super proud and that Ear Biscuits is not really meaningful to both of us, right? Just because you stop something doesn't mean you don't care about it or that it's meaningful to you.
And it's not your fault, kids. It's not your fault. Just in case you blame yourself for this.
We're making some room in our lives.
One of the things that we do want to talk about, and this is I don't know, I think this is a slight update on maybe some things that we have said, which I think you're going to like, I hope. We've talked about the fact that we are taking this thing away, this thing where we tell stories about ourselves.
About ourselves.
Yeah, that's what we do. We tell stories
We share
about ourselves.
anecdotes from our lives.
We discuss serious things, et cetera, and sometimes and lately we've been answering your questions. And we talked about how some of the things that have happened on this podcast will be moving to other places. Now, you can't replace this podcast. We're not going to be doing something that's this free-form conversation for an hour or plus every single week. But what we are going to be doing is we're going to keep telling stories about the things that happened to us that would have been told on this podcast. But we are going to be telling those stories on Good Mythical more. That show is becoming more and more like a podcast every day. And hey, if you didn't notice, Good Mythical Morning is considered a podcast. Number 3 in the world, apparently, according to somebody. I don't know what that was.
YouTube rankings.
So that's going to be one of the things that we do. And we are going to be doing the occasional voicemail-based episode over on Ear Biscuits, over on Good Mythical More. See, look, I'm already confused.
Oh.
And not making any promises, but I'm going to say that it is our intention to potentially make those types of conversations and those stories available on the Ear Biscuits feed. So if you're subscribed to the Ear Biscuits podcast, don't unsubscribe. I know a lot of people like to do this house cleaning thing where they basically...
You don't want to be reminded that...
Oh, I'm going to unsubscribe.
You used to listen to it or something.
Well, first of all, the podcast may start again at any point.
Yeah,
but in the meantime,
unsubscribe.
we are going to have the feed be somewhat active, not making any promises about how often that is. But if we have enough things where we're doing Ear Biscuits-like things, and you're a trucker, and you just like to turn on that audio-only feed and just have it go, and you want to hear us talk like we've always talked, well, that's going to be available in some capacity.
Maybe. I mean, it's...
That's our intention.
That's something that we're floating. Jenna?
Yeah?
It's the end of an era.
It is.
How are you feeling?
I feel good about it, yeah. It is the end of an era. I don't know.
Well, we've really enjoyed how you have moved behind the mic and started talking to us more over the past few years.
Yeah.
Right? So
now we're just going to have to talk more without the mics.
Yeah.
Which we do.
And we'll still be talking.
We still are.
In real life? You mean I got to talk to you when I come in here?
I know. Like we don't already.
Well, and one of the things we talked about is, again, another place that our lives are going to be on display to some degree is the Mythical Society, which, again, you got to pay for that. We realize, just letting you know, the society is becoming a place where there's more
vlog content.
Windows into our lives, and a lot of times Jenna is with us as we are living our lives. And so if you've enjoyed hearing her perspective and her voice, that's going to be over there in some of those to some degree. So just letting you know where, Ear Biscuits is blowing up, and some pieces are being distributed in other places. And then some pieces are going into the abyss forever. And now I'm going to cry. No, I'm not going to cry.
Jamie, you're not going to cry, are you?
I'm not going to cry. Well, I made a little something that made me cry earlier that I will be playing for you guys soon.
Oh, okay.
Well, why not right now? If you want to, all right, challenge
I'm teasing it for right now.
Okay, yes.
All right.
And this is just because we had so many people call in and say, hey, this is what Ear Biscuits means to me. So I thought I would try to put that together.
Hi, Rhett Link.
Hey, Rhett Link.
Hey, Rhett Link.
Hey, Rhett. Hey, Link.
Hey, Rhett Link. Hey, Ear Biscuits crew.
Hi there. Hey, Rhett Link.
Hey, Rhett Link. Hey, fellas. Hey, guys.
Well, hello, young men.
Hi, Rhett. Hi, Link. Hi, Jenna and Jamie.
This is Gomi from Connecticut.
My name is Aaron. I'm from California.
My name is Cassie.
This is Ben from Portland, Oregon.
My name is Brenna.
Hey, my name is Jay. Dylan from Indiana.
My name's Jackson.
This is Carrie from Washington State.
Hi, this is Faith from Michigan. Heather from Houston, Texas.
Rico from Nashville. This is Logan from Tennessee.
Hi, this is Troy.
Molly, and I'm calling from a small city in the UK called Norwich.
I've been watching you guys for the last 18 years at this point.
Been a fan of yours since I was, in elementary school.
But I am a new listener. I've only been listening since probably about May.
You guys have been in my home with me and my family, my parents, my husband, my kid for probably 5 or 6 years now.
Appreciate y'all. Been listening to y'all for since I was 12.
Oh my God, I've always wanted to do this.
Easy voicemail incoming.
You don't have to worry about it. We'll be here.
You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream.
I go to bed with Ear Biscuits.
I cannot eat a meal without watching you guys eat too.
I'm a long-time fan of y'all's work.
Ear Biscuits has taught me is that change is inevitable, but change isn't bad necessarily.
Excited to see your next project.
Y'all have really helped a lot.
You've somehow become my 2 internet dads.
Still listen back to some of those old episodes.
Ear Biscuits has really gotten me through so many of my long training runs.
Onward and upward. You guys are the best.
Love you guys.
I love you both a lot.
I love you so much.
We all love you. Lots of love.
Thank you guys for everything you've ever done. Love you guys so much.
Thanks very much. Love what you do.
I just wanted to say thank you.
Rooting for you.
Wanted to say thanks too. Been a fan since I was 12.
And I just want to say thanks.
Thank you all for all you've meant to me over the years.
Yeah, good blessing. What do I say at the end of it? Good blessings, good tidings.
To call and personally thank you guys for all the laughs and the honesty and the little crumbs of wisdom that you've left behind.
And we know you will be back.
Wishing y'all the best. Wanted to say thank you so much for making Ear Biscuits.
It's been there for me, and it's been a constant for me through, a lot of shit.
I'll miss you.
I'm just happy you guys are doing whatever's best for you mentally.
I'm going to let y'all go now. Bye-bye. Mwah.
But could I have the round table of dim lighting?
Oh, Jamie, you shouldn't have. All of those names, all of those locations, all of those people.
All of those 12-year-olds
who then grew up.
2 of them who started watching at 12. I think that's a sweet spot at some point back in the day.
I mean, it was meaningful to hear those voices and how they represent you. Even if you didn't ever leave a voicemail, we know that you're a special part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for listening. It sounds like it's over. Still just getting started, at least this episode. But yeah, just when we started the podcast, and God, how many years ago was it?
I don't know. We probably should have looked this up.
We should have looked that up. So many years ago.
Initially, probably 10 years ago. Like the first iteration?
Oh, definitely that.
More than that? I don't know. Maybe.
We don't like going back and figuring that out. But when we started it, yes?
It started, it says 2013, so 12 years.
12 years ago. 12 years ago.
13 if you want to count the entirety of 2025, because it has been a full year.
Okay.
Let's do that. So in basically 13 years ago, when we started this thing, I remember brainstorming what we should call it, and should we do it? And of course, we made it an interview show at the start.
Mm-hmm. Evidenced by this table.
But we didn't know. We had no clue that it would go through so many iterations and that it would accomplish so much in our own lives. And I think that as we go through reminiscing some of this, we just have to, I think we will be acknowledging how much a part of our lives it was. And to know that by sharing our lives and it becoming a part of our lives, it connected with so many listeners. It connected with you. People all over the world in all walks of life, at all ages, interested in what was happening to us and what we were interested in. And I appreciate the shout out to the little nuggets of wisdom that I'd like to think that happened occasionally.
Crumbs was the word.
Crumbs.
So don't get
not nuggets.
They didn't get the nugget size.
Right. We didn't nug, but we crumbed. I'm glad to know that with so much talking, that after 13 years, it means something to so many people. It would say a lot if it didn't, right? To talk as much as we did.
We would have said a lot and meant nothing.
So it's nice that it means something because we said so much. You know what I'm saying?
I think that the interesting thing in many ways, although there's many more episodes of Good Mythical Morning than there is Ear Biscuits, if a distant, grandchild or great-grandchild, somebody who's around when we're no longer around, wants to know who we are, I think that this will be the best vehicle for that.
Definitely.
And I think that's one of the reasons that people have enjoyed it so much, is because it's been pretty raw and pretty real at times.
Yeah.
And in many ways, it's been a video journal of our lives and really important parts of our lives. And also, it kind of represents the evolution of the way people who do what we do talk to their audiences. You go back 12 years ago when we started this thing and we did the interview format. One of the reasons we chose to do the interview format is because that was what was being done in the podcast world. We saw what Mark Maron was doing on WTF and we said, well, we need to do that for the internet personalities out there. And we disclosed some personal things in those interviews, but if you go back, we didn't disclose too much. We were asking very personal questions about what people believed, what their worldview was.
Right.
And you maybe didn't understand or get a real idea, a grasp of where we were coming from. And of course, that ended up leading to us finally talking about all that. But not just that.
I will say at that point in Good Mythical Morning's history, it was much more story-driven and personal point of view focused.
I would say it was story-driven, but it was story for the sake of entertainment in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And there was a wall up. Even when we would do interviews or go on podcasts at that time, there was a wall up because we felt like there were all these things that were off limits that we didn't want to share. And I think that there's been both the change in the culture and the way people communicate with their audiences, but there's been a change in us personally in the way that we're vulnerable with our audience. And this podcast is the clearest evidence of that evolution, to the point where if you could have told the 12 years ago Rhett Link that you will end up talking about butt plugs on your podcast eventually, first of all, I would have been like, well, let me Google what a butt plug is.
Right.
And then
you would have been thanking your future self much earlier.
And then I would be like, we're going to be talking about that. And that's just scratching the surface. You're also going to talk about.
Don't scratch the surface.
Yeah, don't scratch the surface. Use a lot of lube. And also think about all the other things you're going to talk about. I just think we would have been like, why were we going to
don't do it, guys.
Be this vulnerable on this platform?
But now on the other side of it, we're so grateful that we did it. Yes, the show documents the wall coming down. And I do think that that is one of the things that I'm most grateful for and proud of. Once that started happening, I think a level of connection and camaraderie and heart came through. So we never could have predicted it. We didn't think of it that way. Well, I mean, we got tired of interviewing people, and then we were like, well, let's just talk to each other here too. Yeah. Best I can remember. Mm-hmm. Let's hear some voicemails. Thanks for your response to our prompt.
I was 16 when I first pressed play. Grace Helbig's laugh got me the very first day. Now I'm 28, a little more grown, but your voices still feel like home. Through quiet nights and lonely drives, you kept a spark in my everyday life. I've heard the tales, the travel water, the near crash, the Scotland roads, and the pyramid scheme laughs. You filled my ears, you filled my heart, a steady friend from the start. Now the air will be empty, bittersweet, but I'll still replay old laughs on repeat. Though the show must end, I'll still rewind to vacation mishaps for a peace of mind. If you ever wander back our way, we'll still be here. The Biscuit listeners will stay. Love you guys more than you know. Bye.
You're talking about the first ever episode of Ear Biscuits, which was an interview with Grace Helbig.
That was a poem.
And that was poetry.
Did you notice that it rhymed and everything?
Uh-huh.
Did she say her name?
No.
Okay, good, because we didn't remember it anyway. Finally, we have a voicemail where they didn't even bother to say their name, knowing that we're not going to remember it by the end of the voicemail.
Walter Whitman. And then the last episode of that previous version was we wrapped up the interviews with Grace.
I looked down at this table.
Right in front of you.
And, Grace and plus Grace again. We got everybody to sign the table. And even though we went away from the interviews, we kept the table because, and we will keep the table. We're not getting rid of the table.
No.
This is a relic of blood, sweat, and tears and Sharpies.
Thank you for that poem.
Are they all going to be poems?
No, just
that one. Make them all poems.
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Hi, pulling a link here and not giving myself any sort of script, so if I yap for too long, I'm sorry. But I needed to say that my favorite episode of Ear Biscuits is the one where you guys talk about Ben. That was what pulled me back into listening to Ear Biscuits. Is an absolutely incredible episode. I think that you guys do such a great job in honoring him, and it was really impactful for us to see that part of your guys' lives and story. And it was just literally incredible. Like, holy shit. Bleep me out. I'm sorry.
Bleep me out. Yeah, so that episode's called, I'm gonna say these as they are mentioned just so you know how to find them. That's called The Life and Loss of Ben, Our Other Best Friend.
I remember the idea of talking about Ben was something that was percolating for maybe a year before this. And it was just trying to find the best place and the best time. And
well, we couldn't really tell the story of Ben adequately until we had told our story of where we came from spiritually, our deconstruction, and then that helps to contextualize the last, times that we saw Ben, which we talk about extensively. And also, this is the episode where I learned I am an ugly crier, which I probably could have guessed.
Am I a pretty crier?
Well, I wasn't. You
didn't assess it.
Wasn't assessing that.
I mean, did people that one got the most views on YouTube because everybody wanted to see us cry? They heard us cry, and then a few days later, they could see us cry.
Yeah. And then that's the top episode, right?
Probably is in terms of views.
Yeah, 8.2 million.
Good Lord, you can get 8.2 million views on an Ear Biscuit?
Wow.
If you cry.
I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
I can't say that I've gone back and listened to it. You went back and looked at yourself cry, apparently, or the clips?
I think I am crying in the thumbnail. I think.
Oh.
So I've seen that pop up enough times. And then we were able to sort of revisit that story for an episode of Wonderhole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in some ways,
chop down a tree. We chopped down a tree with a peanut butter axe.
I think that Ben would find it very funny to know that we ended up going into this career where we were constantly yapping about things and trying to pull on experiences, and then the story about him dying ends up being the most popular thing that we ever did. I think he would get a big kick out of that.
Yeah. And he might say, do I get a kickback?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that works.
It's not the only one we cried in.
No.
But
it's the one we cried the most.
It's one of the few, I think. There was a streak of crying. There was in that window of time when we were getting so raw, and we were like, well, okay, let's do it. And there were some tears, and then
we were wringing ourselves pretty dry.
It was like a strata of Ear Biscuits when it got pretty raw. And we'll talk more about, what opened up those floodgates, I'm sure.
Hey, this is Sam from North Carolina. My personal favorite Ear Biscuits episodes, and I'm sure many people feel the same way, are definitely the Lost Year episodes from early 2020, with a close second one being the one about Ben. Those episodes were obviously maybe not quite as funny or as comedic as you all usually aim for, but they showed a side of your all selves that was really kind of almost in a way heartwarming and wholesome to hear, despite the very much unwholesome topics those episodes kind of went through and covered. But overall, great run for Ear Biscuits. Sad to see it go, but excited to see what's next.
So there's the Lost Years, and then there's the Deconstruction episodes, and I think they're kind of conflated a little bit here because one led right into the other.
Because the Deconstruction episodes, they started in early 2020, so right before the pandemic broke out.
They are the same. The Lost Years were the part of our career that we never talked about when we were, on staff with crew, and in order to talk, there was a whole part of our lives that we didn't talk about because it was so evangelical, and we didn't want to go there. So once we decided that we were going to start exploring our evangelical past and our beliefs and how they've evolved over time, we had to preface that, like the weeks leading up to it, with explaining the fact that there was this whole part of our lives that we skipped over and never talked about. So am I refreshing your memory that those are actually tied week to week with each other?
Right, but the lost years didn't come before the deconstruction stories.
Right before.
Right before.
They did come right before.
Yes, right before it.
Okay, so we kind of told people that like we can maybe did the summary of like we're gonna talk to you about the fact that we're no longer Christians, but we'll tell you the story, but we got to tell you where we come from before we get to that place.
Yes.
Right. So those are the lost years. There's 3 episodes called Our Lost Years, Our Years as Missionaries, and Our Experience After the Lost Years. And then
it goes straight into
there's also the deconstruction
Rhett's
episodes,
deconstruction story,
which we put together,
and then my deconstruction
in an
story.
entire playlist. So, and Lauren wrote in the deconstruction episodes and updates were her favorite. So we've actually put that in a playlist. It's been around for a while, but because we've done a yearly update on the deconstruction, sometimes each one of us and sometimes both of us together, but that's like 10 episodes in and of itself, that the deconstruction initial stories and then each update.
Oh, good. So I can send that to my great-great-grandkids if they want to know
They can find it.
What I believed. The playlist specifically.
This is for sure for me, I'm not going to say it's my favorite episode because it's not like I was like relishing in the opportunity to talk about this stuff, but I think it is the most pivotal series of episodes.
I would call it a watershed moment in our careers.
Because it took, again, as we've stated many times, like that part of who we were and who we are was so significant. It's like you're dating somebody and then you find out that they've
been
like
married before.
They've been married before, or
Right.
they're a CIA agent or something. It's that significant because it's like so much of who we are is because of where we come from and how we thought about the world. How we think about the world is so influenced by the way we thought about the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was this huge coming out moment for us that then completely changed the way that we talk to you guys.
Yeah.
It's so significant. And again, this is one of those things that people are like, okay, I love it when you talk about these things. Well, we don't talk about that stuff on Good Mythical Morning. As I talked about when we announced that we were ending Ear Biscuits, I have a YouTube channel where I talk about those things, but there's only one video over there right now. There's not a lot of those, but that's going to be the place where I talk about those things. Maybe if Link really, really wants to talk about his deconstruction, I'll have him on my channel and he can talk about it over there.
Yeah, I won't be starting my own channel just for that, that's for sure.
But so, that conversation will continue to some degree, but not to the degree or to the frequency or the intensity that it was when we were doing it on Ear Biscuits.
But you just made the statement that the lost years into the deconstruction episodes changed the way that we talk to mythical beasts. I mean, let's unpack that a little bit. I think it's just a level of, what's the word? Vulnerability and just honesty.
Not holding anything back.
Not holding anything back. I think once we put something out on the table that we were actively holding back and dancing around for our entire public career, it did change our relationship with mythical beasts. Because subconsciously it's like, oh, now it's out there, you know the complete story and you're still here. If you are still here, Mm-hmm. And so it was an invitation, it built trust and it built comfort to be able to continue to be vulnerable about other things that were happening currently. I don't think that we fully understood again. And I think this is a theme of our entire lives. It's like you do things based on instinct, and you make the decision, okay, are we ready to talk about this? You make the best decision you can with the information you have, and it's a risk. It was definitely a risk. And in this instance, it paid off because our relationship turned a corner of more honesty. And because and it wasn't that we didn't get negative backlash by any means.
We got a lot.
It wasn't that. It was like, we talked about it and it was okay. It certainly, probably every type of reaction we could have had, we had. But ultimately, being honest opened things up in a lot of different ways. It allowed us, you build a new muscle of vulnerability, and
I think it changed. I think it changed more than just our relationship with our fans. I think it changed our personal lives. I think it changed the way I interact with people that I meet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it changed the way that our crew here thinks about us, right? Because I think that if you don't know where we come from, if you just are like, I think that these guys were, in fact, just that article that in Deadline that was about the podcast rankings where we were the number 3 most popular podcast, the blurb was former Christian evangelists, Rhett and Link, with no other context. It's just like,
why'd you say that? I don't know why they said that.
Yeah, I'd like to, whoever wrote that article, I mean, it's fine. It's kind of true, but like, it's a weird thing to say with no context. Yep. But again, that's the thing. You hear that and you think, maybe depending on who you are and the way you live your life, you might think that if that's true about us, then you're going to get a certain type of judgment from us, right? And to hear that we, at least the way that we subscribe to that, we don't subscribe to it in the way that we used to, and we think differently about the world. I think that it just I think there's this thing like, oh, okay, I didn't know what your guys' deal was, and I didn't really know how to talk to you about things, and if I should say this or if I shouldn't say that, and now I kind of get that, like, okay, now I understand where you're coming from. I just think it's changed so much about the way we address anyone at any time because now that's out there.
I mean, it really... It really helped me understand people who are in the closet for whatever they're in the closet for.
Yeah.
It's like in a much smaller way. That I had like a little experience of that I think they have. Anyone who's coming out of a closet, of whatever type, I can empathize a little bit more, and
how it impacts everything.
Right, because I would never be tempted to think going through what we did that just because something's true of you, like why do people need to know? Why do you need to tell people who you are in order to be who you are? Just be who you are. People don't need to know. Don't impose that on people.
Right.
It's like, because I know from experience, from the inside out, in my own little way, that that's just not how it works.
Well, it's
That's
about
not how it works.
It's about being fully known.
Being fully known.
I think
is being fully known is to be known.
Yeah, and I think that's why it added this dimension. And again, it unintentionally threw us into the culture wars in some sense, because before we talked about this stuff, we were just those two guys who made the funny, completely unoffensive internet show that anybody could watch, and you never had to deal with any like uncomfortable ideas or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then now all of a sudden, these guys have said that they were Christians and now they're not Christians, and they're talking about it quite a bit. And they're saying why they're not Christians, which even though they may not be intending to, it seems like it's sort of judging people who are Christians. That ended up putting us in a particular bucket for a lot of people. And we lost a lot of people. People are like, I'm not listening anymore. I'm not listening to you guys. I'm not watching you guys. I'm not letting my kids watch you. I don't want them to be influenced by you. And again, that wasn't, we never thought about what the impact would be. We never did. We were just like, we have to do this. And at the same time, there were people who were like, oh, I thought you guys were just a couple of idiots who eat food. I didn't realize there was any depth at all to your experience and the things that you communicated. And so I think that there were people who were like, I'm on board for that. Again, it wasn't calculated to gain or lose fans, but it is interesting how it put us into a part of the conversation now where if people are talking about things like deconstruction or the way the culture is changing, there's a chance we might get mentioned, and we never intended to be a part of that conversation. Yeah. Now we are, though. Too late.
Hi, guys. It's Sam from Michigan. I just wanted to say thank you for everything Ear Biscuits has taught me. But specifically, I'd like to thank y'all for Sextember. It might seem silly to others, but your Sextember segments over the past few years has helped me understand a lot about myself and my partner. So I sincerely thank you for that. That being said, this year's Sextember seemed to go by pretty quick and left me wanting more. That's what she said. So I was wondering if there was any last sex advice you'd have for us. I'd love to hear it. Thank you. Love you guys. Bye.
Sextember is a great example of, all right, we're putting things out there. What else? Wait, so there's an openness that allowed us to step into that we were talking about. But also, I mean, let's be real. When you show up at this table to make an episode that comes out every week, and by the way, sometimes we're having to record multiple in a week. There have been times when we've recorded multiple in a day, which is kind of the hidden equation that has led to our decision to the indefinite break, is because of the way in our lives that we have to schedule the recording of these things, is that there has to be an engine for conversation.
You want to bring your best.
Yeah, and we've tried so many different things, and like we slice topics in all types of directions. There were phases of the show where we had long spreadsheets where we were asking multiple people to pitch ideas for topics we could talk about before we started opening up to voicemails, way before that. And the whole sex part of it, like once there's an openness to talk about and be vulnerable and talk about things, then it's like, well, then that was on a list and we didn't do it. And then you kind of get, one of the forces is the list gets shorter and shorter, but the number of episodes, the weeks keep going and going.
Keeps going.
And so then it becomes a factor of like, well, how's Christy going to feel about this? How are my kids going to feel about this?
And then you have to stop asking those questions.
And then you have to, well, there's nothing, it's not, then you look back at the spreadsheet.
It's the only thing we can talk about.
It's the only thing on the list.
It's either butt plugs or... see, we got nothing. It's just butt plugs.
So and being public about uncomfortable ideas, spiritual beliefs. One thing we still didn't go to politics that often. I mean, you might back into some politics when you're talking about like if you're talking about AI or just different things. I don't know what the things are. You just get to a point where, all right, we can talk about this, and I think it can be, and I really appreciate the voicemail. Thank you, Sam. You get to a point where I think it can be good to talk about this. I think that if my kids decide to see a clip on TikTok, they might cringe, but it's not going to, ultimately, there's the heart behind it is that it's helping people. It's destigmatizing things for an appropriate audience. Mm-hmm. And I think that helped me, realizing that our vulnerability, we don't have to have the answers, but sometimes being honest about the questions, even if it comes to orgasms, can benefit other humans. Having an honest human conversation can benefit other humans, and we can stand to be a little bit more comfortable about sex.
I think one of the things too is that because of our background and because of human culture, which is heavily influenced by puritanical ideas, at least in Western culture, we have made sex such a scandalous thing as a culture. And so whether or not you come from a purity, you're steeped in purity culture like we were, or you're just a secular person who lives in a culture that has been heavily influenced by a puritanical way of seeing sex, we have this idea that certain things are inappropriate to talk about and certain things are shameful. And so that applies to us. Like, we didn't escape that, right? And so a big part of it was, who's going to think what? Because that's the way our culture is. Because we're not talking about just talking about sex for shock value or, doing sexual things for entertainment value. I mean, obviously, we know that people might click on it because we don't always talk about it. But it really was, as best as we could, it was from our own personal experience and perspective. And it was stuff that we were learning, like when we had the sex expert on, we're trying to make it rooted in who we were, who our experience. Mm-hmm. But there's still a lot of shame associated with that. The reason it feels uncomfortable is because shame has been attached to it in just the world that we live in, the world that we come from. And that takes a lot to let go of and be like, hey, listen, we are sexual beings, Most people, not everybody, most people want to have sex. Most people do. And if most people are doing it, then shouldn't we be talking about it?
If we want to.
Why do we set it?
And we did.
Why do we set it in this corner, this dark corner, and say, well, we don't talk about those things?
It ended up being okay.
Yeah. It sure did.
I don't think we ever offended anybody.
And of course, there is a playlist for that as well. And there's a lot more episodes of Sextember because we would do like 3 of them every year for a few years. It looks like there's like more than 10. So that's the Sextember
But we
playlist.
did that so that we weren't just constantly talking about sex until but then something started happening that then we just kept talking about sex in other we kept talking about sex and religion and all the other non-Sextember or Deconstruction podcasts. But we tried our best to keep Sextember in September so that you wouldn't have to, if you didn't want to keep hearing about it, you didn't have to.
But sex doesn't just happen in September. Sex happens every month.
All right.
Once a month. Sex happens all the time, right?
Let's keep going.
Sex is happening right now for someone. Someone listening to this right now is having sex. Think about that.
You're doing great. Keep it up.
Caught you.
You know what?
And there's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, and they want.
It's not shameful.
And I'm gonna give some sex advice. Just breathe deeply. Slow your breathing. Hang on for as long as you can.
And close your eyes.
And then go out with a big bang. You can always start over again. I don't know. It might be a day.
You
later.
look uncomfortable. Close your eyes. Okay.
Don't hold your breath.
Hey, Rhett Link. It's Madison from Bakersfield. How you doing?
Good.
I just wanted to offer you guys my favorite episode of Ear Biscuits. I was going to choose one of the first Sextember episodes or one of the episodes where you guys talked about like the history of your friendship because those were all really great. But the one that I think I've actually watched more than once just because I love it so much is the one from October 11th of 2020 titled Link's Camping Night of Horror. Link is just a really good storyteller, and the story is crazy, so it's super suspenseful, and it feels like it lasts forever, and no matter how many times I've listened to it, it's always just super creepy. It also has a lot of views, so I feel like it's probably a collective favorite. And Link has a beard in the episode, which is always great.
I have a beard right now.
I also just wanted to say really quick that I hope this transition into not having Ear Biscuits around anymore goes smoothly for you guys. Because just because it's going to be extremely difficult for us doesn't mean that it won't be difficult for you guys as well. So just wishing us all the best during this emotional time. Love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
Is that when there was the weird man?
Hold on, before we get into that, during that voicemail, I think something happened that's never happened on this show. Did you fart?
I did not fart.
Did you smell it?
I did.
It was one of y'all, and it's okay.
No, I didn't fart.
It was butt, right? It's not my butt.
Well, here,
not my breath either.
No, but here's the thing.
I smell it though now.
You smell it now?
To
Smells
me,
like rotten eggs.
to be honest with you, to me, it smelled like the air that you smell when you're going over the bridge close by, like that plant smell.
Okay,
Well,
fine.
masks
If you don't
really
want to
work.
own it, that's fine.
Yeah, I was like,
It wasn't me.
Listen, we're all friends here.
And here's
and one of us farted.
And here's the reason that I know that it wasn't me. This morning, I farted in the shower.
Don't do that.
And I don't often do that.
Don't you do that.
And then I had my life flash before my eyes. And I was like, what in the world? And then I go through, what did I eat yesterday?
Come on now.
No, and then, well, you're the one who brought it up. I'm smelling it right now, by the way. That's why I don't think it's a fart, because why is it still happening?
Because it's still eking out or something.
And then the second thing that happened was,
butt.
And then I was like, I went downstairs, and on the way out, I took Gas X, because I was like, I have a bunch of meetings today.
It was you.
No.
You didn't even know it.
No, it smelled so different than what I did this morning. And I know, and by the way, I know when something comes out of my ass and when something goes in my ass. Like I have a high level of awareness of that. And I'm still smelling it right now, and it smells exactly like the bridge. So I think that something has been stirred up at the bridge.
Bridge.
And it has
like
arrived.
A water treatment plant smell.
You know the other thing? I saw Randall in the bathroom messing with the toilet. We were having a toilet issue. I'm just saying there could be a sewage thing going on.
And how did it back all the way into this room? Okay.
Well, the AC is on, so.
Yeah, the AC turned on, and then you started smelling it, and then you started blaming people. This could be the best cover ever for somebody who actually farted.
Yeah, I farted directly into the intake for the air conditioning. Why is the intake for the air conditioner right next to the toilet? Is my question. I don't want to know.
I mean, I'm still smelling it. It's out. It's in the system.
Man, I don't think we can keep going, guys.
Okay, this is how it's going to end.
Thank you for listening.
Okay, so your camping night of horror is when you and Christy were camping, and there was the guy, right?
In the van, there was the guy who wanted us to vote on his photos, and then he came back in the dark. And I've been trying to get Christy to go back out ever since then, and
she hasn't.
She hasn't. She hasn't. Hasn't worked out. But I keep pushing. Thank you for liking that. Yeah, I mean, these things happen to me, and I tell you about them, and I'll put them in a more. If something happens, you'll find out.
Oh yeah,
I'll put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just glad it's there so that if I can go back and listen to it and have a pristine memory of it.
But will you? Will you do that?
I won't, but maybe.
When you get dementia, we'll play the podcast for you. Like, this is what you used to think. This is how you used to be. This is the night that you went camping.
I don't think that would be a good idea, probably.
Oh, really? Okay.
You know, there's a lot of, you want the next one? I was going to say, there's a lot of podcasts.
Okay, I'll keep going.
There's a lot of like when we started our podcast, weren't nearly as many podcasts 13 years ago.
No, yeah.
And now look at it. It's just, I mean, it's gotten out of control.
There's too many.
And that's a little factor, but it is another factor of let's get out.
Also, Good Mythical Morning is a podcast now. I mean, I'm just telling you. You can't have, how many podcasts can you have?
Well, yeah, in a YouTube categorization thing, in order to be on those charts.
And it worked.
Or Yeah, whatever.
It's just as much of a podcast as a lot of the other things that are on that list.
I mean,
we talk to each other all the time, every day.
I'm just making the point that when we contributed to the podcastification of society, and now we're backing out.
Well, y'all take it from here.
It is a problem. There are too many podcasts.
Yep, there are too many.
And we're not a part of the problem anymore.
Especially just featuring two dudes sitting down and talking to each other. I mean,
yeah, come on.
Good God, guys, we got to stop. In fact, if you're out there and you're a guy and you're like talking to your friend and you're like, we're funny, this could be a podcast, just stop right there. Just stop.
Maybe come up with something different.
Yeah, do something different. You don't need to do a podcast. A, you're not as funny as you think you are.
B, it's not as easy as you think it is.
And C, we don't need it.
And C, we don't care, is what he's saying. All right, now we're ready.
Hi, Rhett Link. This is Bridget from Watertown, New York. Well, practically Canadian, but not really. I saw the Facebook post where you're asking what your favorite Ear Biscuit episode was. And to be honest, all of the vacation episodes that you guys do are my favorite. I don't have a favorite one, but every one that you guys have done have just been the most unhinged and the most funny ones I have ever listened to, because especially with Link, there's always something going wrong, but those are my favorite ones. My old house, I used to play Minecraft and listen to your podcast. I can't play Minecraft right now, but I would do that, and the vacation ones, I just remember were a core memory for me, a few months ago. So yeah, those are my favorite, just because they're so unhinged and they're just very funny. So yeah, love you guys. I'm a big fan.
And we have created a playlist for those as well.
Oh, we have?
Vacation Stories playlist, again, on the Ear Biscuits page. We've tried to make this easier for you. If you said that you like something, and there's
all
a
of
category.
This is on YouTube.
It's all on YouTube, yeah. And those are easy to find on the Ear Biscuits page on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, we like to go on a vacation. I think sometimes I will go on a vacation thinking I'm just doing it for the Ear Biscuit. Not true, but I mean, it's.
Jesse did mention something recently in this vein. We were doing something, and she was like, well, I don't know what it was I was considering doing. She said, well, you used to say, well, worst case, this will make a good Ear Biscuit. Like when I would decide to do something stupid, like if I was about to do something that may not go well.
Even if it sucks.
Well, it'll make a good Ear Biscuit. And she said, no, you don't have that. And I said, no. I've got Good Mythical More. If something goes crazy wrong, I know I'm going to tell that story.
But Ear Biscuits has been the lifeline for our life of vacations. God, it still stinks. I'm getting hit with it again.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, something has gone wrong.
Hey, I'm going to turn the thermometer off.
Thermostat. Something got turned upside down. Something got stirred up.
What I'm going to do is, this is AC, so I'm going to turn this up.
Don't turn the heat on. I'll tell you, whatever you do, don't heat it up. It'll stink even worse.
I changed it where it's not going to keep trying to cool it off with stink air in here. I don't want no butt air trying to make me cooler.
Maybe a rat farted in the vents. What does rat gas smell like?
No riffing.
No riffing.
Have we gotten better at this?
Better at what?
I mean, I said riffing. I remember there was a point, it was pretty early on, probably after the interviews, when you're like, there is an intimidation factor to saying, I'm going to sit down with no plan, and we have to fill an hour. And at first it was a bit intimidating, and then we convinced ourselves that it's just something that we can do every single time. Sometimes it was the last place I wanted to be, and we could still do it, which gave me a lot of confidence when, on average, I was happy, at least a little happy to be here and do it, and then a lot happy by the end of it.
There's something about this table, this room, even when there's a rat that's farted in the vent, that and this is true of the GMM desk as well, thank God. Regardless of what's going on in our lives, regardless of what's difficult for one of us or both of us, I think when we sit down to do what we do, even though we still are tapped into what's going on personally, maybe we're telling personal stories, I think it's always been a little bit of, we're great at compartmentalizing.
It's hermetically sealed.
We just say, okay, I'm dealing with a problem, but I'm not going to be dealing with it when I'm in there. I'm not even going to think about it. As soon as the camera's off and the microphone's off, I'll start thinking about it again. But I think we have gotten good at seeing this as a little break. It's like, regardless how bad things could get, you could be like, you know, even if the world is ending, you can stop and play ping pong for a little bit.
Well,
I
mean, but at the same time, it is work and it's taxing.
Ping pong is hard.
I think from a performance standpoint, just to stay engaged, to create for an hour with like just little to no plan, it burns a lot of calories mentally and emotionally. So I think we did get good at tapping into reserves when we needed to, and keep between the in and the out points of the episode, just trying to keep it at a level that we were never embarrassed. Like, even when I thought something was a dud, it was well within a realm of acceptability. So I'm proud of us that we did that, because it does take a lot. You have to be here. You have to seal it. And when you step through these doors, you know, be here and not be somewhere else, because it doesn't work. It's a conversation. I think that we've developed a lot in our ability to do that.
Let's quit.
I think that we also developed, it's different than the muscle memory of Good Mythical Morning. There's a different style of listening that's required, and a willingness to go down tangents and it be a playful thing where we're on the same page. There were plenty of times when things would go sideways. Like, you know, working through, sometimes on the mics, lots of times off the mic, like different tensions at different points, like me cutting you off, or like, and then, or you jumping in a certain way that wasn't what I was hoping for. Well, in both directions, there was a lot that we tried to identify. We had to identify and work through in order to craft this into something that we wanted to continue to do for well over a decade. We had our bumps, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And we got good at
and I think
doing this.
It translates into everything else that we do. I think it all feeds into each other. I think doing Good Mythical Morning together makes this a better podcast, and vice versa. And we're not gonna lose that skill. And we may, who knows? At some point, we may just be like, I got so many things built up. We got to do Ear Biscuits again. It could happen. Biscuits just rising. You know, biscuits rising within you, and you got to just let them out. Let the rat gas out.
Hey, Rhett Link. My name's Jay. I just wanted to share one of my favorite Ear Biscuits memories of all time, which actually came up pretty recently. So my dad and I were road tripping down to North Carolina, of all places, for a wedding. And I said, hey, Dad, there's this episode of this podcast I listen to where they talk about the interstate system, and I think it'd be really cool for us to listen to. He said, yeah, let's go for it. So I completely forgot that about at the 20-minute mark of that episode is where you guys conclude your recap of what you think constitutes the proper amount of time that represents a quickie with your partner. So definitely forgot that was the beginning of that episode, but thanks so much for that hilarious moment with my father. Definitely will never forget it. But anyhow, thanks for everything you guys do. Love you guys. Take it easy.
You and your dad driving down the road. He's like, son, is it about interstates? Maybe interstates means something that I don't know.
Do you remember anything about the interstate system or what we concluded about quickies?
If this is the whole thing about how the interstates are numbered horizontally and vertically, yes. And it's something that me having learned that, it's stuck in my mind, and because it's actually pretty simple. But when I share that with people, there's so many people, like I was before I learned it, that are like, oh, this totally makes sense.
Well, you're going to have to remind me right now, very quickly.
Okay. So if it ends in a 5, it goes north-south. And the low numbers start on the West Coast and go to the high numbers. So 5 runs north-south through California, the West Coast. 95 runs on the East Coast.
Right.
And then you've got 15, 25, 35, 45, all the way through.
And then the zeros
go east-west. And so you've got 10, 20, 30, 40.
Yep, 40 right there.
So right there in North Carolina, you've got
right
40 and 95 intersecting because it's so far east and it's kind of right in the middle. And it goes, and then there are some exceptions. But then if it's just like
I've heard enough.
Highway 64,
Okay. All right.
that's even. So you know that it goes east-west, and you know that it is going to be in between. Well, I don't know. And then and then if it's like 395, that's a belt line.
Mm-hmm. Same with 6. And 6 is a belt line.
Yeah, it gets way better than that. If that just got you excited, you and your dad driving to the road, that got y'all excited.
Then have a quickie.
Oh, come on,
no.
Come on. Why do you have to ruin everything?
I don't know how we defined a quickie, but I think it has something to do with if you can, wherever the quickie happens, I think if somebody's on the outside of that area and it's hermetically sealed, I'll keep that going. So you go in there, you have a quickie, you come back out. They saw you before, they saw you after. And if you can make up some story that's believable, that involves...
Her shoe was untied.
Shoe untied? There was a knot. Okay, there was a knot in the shoe.
She got knotted up a little
and
bit.
we had to untie it.
If you know what I mean.
It was a really tight knot that we had to untie. If that's
with my mouth
semi-feasible, then that is a quickie. And I bet you that's probably not how I define it. Then I'm a different person now.
Right. We change.
I think you gave actual numbers.
We gave numbers?
Like how long?
Okay, well then what's the longest
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
you can believe it would take to untie a knot? And it can be more than one knot, you can be...
I don't know what I said, but I think I would have said anything just because I'd like simple things. Single digits. If you start and you're done before you get to 10 minutes, it's a quickie. Anything 10 and above, you're getting into regular sex territory.
I remember we had an argument about it, and I don't want to... We're about to have that argument again. I'm starting to remember that.
Oh, yeah. There was
Let's move on.
distinct difference of opinion about... The thing we argued about, is how long lasting would be a quickie. It was like, if you go for how long, and you were like 5 minutes... And maybe I'm remembering this wrong. I was if you're thrusting for 5 minutes straight with no breaks,
we're not having this conversation again. This is the last episode.
I didn't want to have it. I didn't want to have it.
He didn't even want to hear it, and it was thrust upon him when he was trying to hear about interstates.
And he's got his dad listening right now because we talked about him again.
And it's happening again.
Right. Hopefully they're not together.
All right. Play another one, please.
Hi, guys. I'm Ev Fields, he, they pronouns, and there is only one correct answer for me for what my favorite Ear Biscuits episode is, and that it has to be Ear Biscuits live at Mythicon. I was actually one of the lucky mythical beasts that had their question selected. Thank you again for giving me that opportunity, and that moment is so majorly impactful for me because I also took the opportunity to thank you two and the community as a whole for helping me in my journey of eventually coming out as transmasculine. And I had never been so loved and embraced as myself in a community before. Probably a bit biased, but I still stand by it. I love you guys. Take care.
Ev, thank you so much for sharing that. Definitely remember that. Thank you for reminding us about Mythicon and how Ear Biscuits was a big part of it.
Yeah, the live Ear Biscuit.
Interacting.
And
it's not voicemails, it's face mails.
And now, and let me just be let me just mention at this point, it's interesting that this was mentioned as someone's favorite episode because you really didn't want to put it on the feed. You hate live episodes of podcasts, which I'm kind of on the same page with you about this. Because you're like, everyone who's listening to it wasn't there, and you're not wrong.
Well,
you're
it
not
was
wrong.
There.
I know.
So,
but
it doesn't contradict my.
Yeah, but now it exists in the feed, and it's there, and Ev can listen to it.
I like
at
that.
any time.
I like that.
Hi, Rhett Link. This is Jackie from Pittsburgh, PA. I'm a longtime listener. I've heard every episode since the interview days. My favorite one is the Love Stone, if you remember that one. Thanks. Love you guys. Bye.
The Love Stone?
The Love Stone.
What is that, Jamie? Do you know?
I don't know what the Love Stone is, but it was from a really old episode called Love and Immortality that you guys had. It was like episode 131. To put that into context of like where we're at.
Okay.
Wow, it's early. The Love Stone.
And
that
this
was for
is-
you, not for us.
Yeah, and like what it the description of this episode says is that Rhett, you propose a new form of partnership called the Love Stone.
Oh, yes. I'm beginning to understand this.
So are you dive into the possibilities of immortality and what it'd be like mean for romance and marriage?
This is when we talked about if you could live forever, would you then be expected to just be in the monogamous relationship with your partner forever?
Okay.
And I don't know exactly what I said. I said something that may have gotten me in a little trouble with Jesse, probably.
So yeah,
because I think I said something about there should be
a love stone that you can make love to someone else on. Is it a big rock?
I don't know. I don't want to go. I don't want to
How
go
do you
into the
feel?
details.
But we have to be comfortable with things that we said that we don't remember that have impacted people.
Oh, that's
the great thing
I
about
probably stand by whatever I said.
But I probably stand by what I said, but I don't remember it, so you shouldn't.
Because obviously,
don't stand by something you don't remember.
I'm just saying that, like, again, this is one of those things where, like, are you the same person that you were at episode 131? Because the thing is that love as we experience it is experienced in the context of mortality, right? And so there isn't a question of, like, I am in this relationship with Jesse and we are progressing through life together. We are growing old together, right? And then dying together at the same time. No, probably not. I'm tall. I'll probably die early. But then the question is like, if you were vampires, like that Jason Isbell song, and you were around forever, would you just be together for thousands of years?
Well, they got divorced.
Exactly.
I don't know why, but it made me remember an era of there's a few months of Ear Biscuits that I think are some of my favorite. And it was when I had to apologize. Remember when I told the story about the babysitter that I had, and then her daughter called me, like, was upset about it and texted or like left a comment, and then we had another episode about that, and it's like one thing led to another.
Mm-hmm.
And so the podcast that I enjoy when there's like this thread that goes through, and that was a little thread of like just putting something out there. I think I had this vision for the podcast that there was going to be all these threads where we shared our lives, that like one thing was going to lead to another, and it was going to demand all these updates. And there was this, that was my little window of fulfillment of that vision that didn't need to happen anymore.
Do something that you have to apologize for, and then apologize.
Then have to
and then give an
apologize
update.
for the apology.
That's an interesting strategy.
I don't know, something about that made me feel like I would listen to that podcast. So I felt like I was creating
so if Ear Biscuits
something.
comes back, it's going to be episode 1, you or I, or both of us do something we need to apologize for, and you just know. And every episode we're doing something we need to apologize for, and then apologizing for something we did in the previous episode. That's not a bad format.
Yep. But you got to have a certain lifestyle to support that.
And it's just called,
which I did my best.
Apologies with Rhett Link, formerly known as Ear Biscuits.
Do you remember what we almost called the podcast? Because if you don't, I don't either. I'm not trying to say that I can reveal it.
Oh no.
I mean, we only called it one thing, but
I don't remember the other options. Let's keep going.
Hi, my name is Cassidy, longtime listener, first-time caller. I'm from New Brunswick, Canada. I've been listening and watching you guys since the beginning, and I wanted to make a vote on the funniest podcast and the most listened to podcast. So first, the most listened to podcast that you guys have put out is Rhett's Layers. Specifically, the part where he talks about Crown Vics. I have listened to it no less than 50 times since it came out.
Ha!
The funniest podcast you've ever put out is the one where Link talks about his ski trip and getting removed from the mountain.
Little Michael.
Oh.
I have listened to that one no less than 50 times as well.
I can't listen
Love
to
you
that.
guys. Thank you.
I cannot listen. I can't. I don't even want to think about that story. That
Little Michael.
That, where you lied about who you were.
Lincoln
ski trip. You got to
Little Michael is still in our lives. So I have a reminder. Like Lincoln and Michael are like, I think they'll always be friends. For
That's
the rest of
called
their lives. So, like,
Link's embarrassing ski trip story. I
have a lot of Link's embarrassing blanks, probably.
Yeah. My episode about layers was 2014. That's still audio only. Rhett and Link, Obsession. So it's been 11 years since then, and I've added a number of layers. Jessie was talking about this the other day. She was basically trying to say that they weren't layers, they were fixations. And I was like, okay, but they're still layers. I can still go back to them at any time.
But you abandoned them.
I revisit many of them, but there are some that I don't go back to.
Like what are some new layers? Just give us a quick update.
Well, there's archery, of course, which I still
dead and gone.
No, it's not. I still have my setup, and I still go out there and do it. Now, I haven't done it. In maybe 6 weeks, but I do it when I go to North Carolina.
Give me another layer. I don't need you to defend it.
Oh, the layer I am in right now, deeply, is notebooks and pens.
Okay. Anything else you want to give us?
I'm sure there's other things, but those are the two that come to mind. Those are two like this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have this health optimization layer that has been
and
going
that doesn't go away.
That's been going for quite a while.
That's always present to some degree.
Yeah, but like different things that you do to optimize your health or whatever. You've had layers.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something else. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
You're still doing it.
Hey, Rhett and Link. My name's Cameron from Arizona. My favorite episode of Ear Biscuits is the episode, I think it's called Getting Personal. And Rhett's talking about the proctologist, and he talks about how the doctor made him take his pants off but keep his shirt on, and how he felt like a cartoon character. And he said, when you're fully naked, you're a warrior. But when you're no pants with just a shirt, you're just asking to be violated. And I remember driving on the freeway listening to that episode with tears streaming down my face and thinking I might need to pull over because I couldn't see the road because I was just laughing so hard. So that episode almost killed me, but it stands out in my brain as one of my favorite show moments ever. Thank you, guys.
That's the that's my finger story, right?
Yeah, I guess.
He told you, he said, that's my finger after it was in there.
Yeah, right.
Now,
Thanks.
here
Thanks.
comes my finger. It's like, no, that is my finger.
Thanks, Doc. Yeah, it's called Let's Get Personal. Featuring Rhett Link. I mean, of course.
Some of the episodes in
the titles.
Yeah, or in the title for a while, it looked like.
Yeah. Have you been to the proctologist recently?
No.
Well, we got when we got our colonoscopies.
Yeah.
That was a proctologist, right?
I guess so, yeah.
That's the last time I went. And that wasn't a finger, that was a whole
tube.
And yeah.
Yep.
Hello. Oh my god, I'm so nervous. My name is Charlie. I'm leaving this for the oh god, the episode ranking. I wanted to say that I think that one of my favorite episodes is trying to break our worst habits. I think it has a very strong starter with the Babygirl contest update. Especially because Link won to Roger Heffley. I don't know. I think that is the funniest thing ever. Have a good day, everyone.
A little more recent. The Babygirl off.
Yeah, which somebody said, I don't know when that was, but I felt like somebody said that they were going to try to make sure that I was in the contest the next year. We need to follow up on that. Talking about a thread that we need to follow up on.
We're not doing this anymore.
Because I've been really making a case for Babygirl in 25.
Yes, you have. Next.
You know? He's threatened.
I'm not threatened. It's just I hear it a lot. I've just heard it a lot. I support you.
Oh, I think he's a little threatened.
Babygirl.
Hi, Rhett and Link. This is Rachel, a longtime listener, first-time caller. I would have to say my favorite topic episode ever of Ear Biscuits. I want to say this episode is 10 years old. Let me double check. We're going back 10 years to episode 73, Ridiculous But True Walmart Stories. I think about probably each one of these stories on a weekly basis. I'll never forget the young gentleman dressed as a cow stealing gallons of milk to hand out in the parking lot, and then I believe he was apprehended at a McDonald's. I don't know. It's just such a nostalgic episode for me. It always puts a smile on my face. It's a great one to re-listen to. And yeah, just one of the most original and fun topics y'all have explored on the show.
That was during the era where we would do lists.
We had like topical episodes.
A little BuzzFeedy at the time.
I mean, we tried to determine what an episode was about and then make something about it. But yeah, that was one version. We tried lots of things.
And it's interesting that that's someone's favorite episode. I mean, I just kind of forgot that we did it.
Yeah, we didn't do it too long, though.
Because it wasn't personal.
Yeah.
Hey, Rhett and Link. Very sad to hear Ear Biscuits is ending. But I think, honestly, the quote or story that you guys told on the podcast that comes to mind pretty frequently is Link reading that tweet that's, I thought this was a beautiful butch woman, but it was just that Twink from Good Mythical Morning. And how he really just turned it into a very profound statement of not sweating labels. That truly is only something I think I could experience listening to Ear Biscuits. So really grateful for all the fun times and, you guys being so open on this podcast. Definitely going to miss it. But looking forward to everything in the future.
I appreciate the fact that there's these little snippets that have lodged themselves into people's brains. And especially when they inspire or, make you feel good. That makes me feel good. It was nice to be reminded of that part of it because I thought you were just going to talk about how funny it was and how I was kind of sore about it. But yeah, I turned it on its head and I think it became a good TikTok.
Agreed.
Hi, my name is Sarah from Central PA, and I'm a huge fan. Love listening to your podcast. My favorite story, the one that has stuck out all these years, and I still think about when I think about what is Ear Biscuits, is the best vacation story has to be the solo trip, one of the solo trip episodes where Rhett talks about doing yoga on a solo retreat with the Bachelorette group. I don't know why. I couldn't even tell you all the details all these years later. It is just something that has always stuck out to me. Anyway, love your podcast. Love you guys. Bye.
Yeah, this is when I went on that solo trip, and it was before we did the 4x4 off-roading solo trips. It's when I went and stayed at that place.
Oh, you stayed at that weird place.
And I was like, I'm going to go to yoga this morning. And I went, and there was this class full of women, and I walked to, I ended up thinking the front was the back, I think. Anyway, I just ended up being in the front of this class, not really, being so big and so bad at yoga. That's called our solo excursions. So we both did solo trips, and we both told stories about them. I think it was very quintessential Ear Biscuit.
Jenna, do you remember, what do you remember in terms of when you started to get involved in this?
In Ear Biscuits?
Yeah, what was that like for you? What's coming back for you?
I think it became like it was me helping check in every now and then if there was an opinion that you wanted a third opinion on. And then it was kind of filling in a bit if one of you all were on one of your vacations. Then I'd come in and we'd chit chat. And I always got to talk a lot in Sextember as well, so that there was a female voice in there.
Right.
So those are the ones.
You regret it?
Sextembers? No. No, not at all.
Good.
I had no problem sharing all of that. Yeah. And I had a lot of people reach out, thanking me on social media and stuff for sharing things and making them feel better. So yeah, I had no problem. I liked giving my book updates and my travel updates.
Uh-huh.
That's basically my life outside of work is books and travel.
Right.
Yeah.
How's your knee?
My knee is doing a lot better. Went to the orthopedic surgeon yesterday. He says I'm on track and everything's looking good. He tapped my thigh and was like, "This one though, this quad. We gotta get this quad better." And I was like, I know, I'm trying.
Gotta get that quad activated.
Gotta get that quad. And I was like, "Yes, Dr. Sampson, I know. I'm working on it. The PT is making me do the things and they're hard."
And then, Jamie, how many episodes have you been here for?
I started at the top of 2023. So a good...
Looking at 3 years here, basically.
Yeah, so probably a good, close to 200, maybe 175.
Okay.
A good amount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely a good amount. It's been fun to, listen to all the voicemails and craft those and kind of pick those out and stuff. And
Yep.
I think one of the ones that stands out to me the most though was probably the episode where you guys had to scream without any air. That was just such a funny moment.
It was so good to watch.
Yeah, and just in the room, we're cracking up, you guys are cracking up. That just felt like such a fun moment, in the room.
Yeah.
And that was fun because I was trying not to laugh because I wanted to make sure the audio of them not screaming was heard perfectly. But holding in the laughs for that was really fun.
Jamie, thank you for being here for the voicemail era. Yes. Also, shout out to Kiko. Kiko was here for the longest time, making Ear Biscuits a reality. I haven't seen Kiko in a while, but we still love you, Kiko.
I saw Kiko a few months back. Yeah, I saw him a few months back at a friend's birthday, I think. And yeah, he's still doing great. Still working with Jack, I believe, and Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where he showed up at something.
And of course, the first person that we hired when we created Ear Biscuits,
Kevin, yeah.
Shout out to Kevin, who's still here.
Still at Mythical.
Leading creative stuff here at Mythical.
It's quite a history. Quite a history we got here, but you know what? At some point, The history has to stop being made, Link. This is the very soft
bye-bye
wind down right here.
Okay.
This is it, man.
We're
winding it down.
I was kind of hoping there'd be one voicemail that would like wrap everything up, but we're going to have to do that, aren't we?
Yeah, that's us. We are giving.
Okay.
We're making voicemails right now. Our voice is being mailed into this microphone.
I feel like a lot of episodes, most all episodes would just end where they would just end. And sometimes we would say things, sometimes we would add a rec.
We gave a rec for a while.
You would recommend something, and then the next week I'd recommend something, and then I got tired of having to come up with that.
Yep.
And I stopped doing that, and then you kept doing it, and then you finally stopped doing that.
Oh, I held on a little bit longer?
You held on a little longer. You had more to recommend, I think.
Okay, all right.
And then we just sometimes I would say, good luck with that, and sometimes I would say, love you. Sometimes I would say,
talk at you next week.
Which
is, I think,
not going to work
most of the
this
time.
I think. Mm-hmm. So how are we gonna end this one?
Well, we could say something like, talk at you next, and then we just stop like that. And then it's just like,
it's gonna be sad though.
What could that? Me, I like leaving things open-ended, man. I don't like wrapping things up nicely. Wrapping things up nicely is so overrated, you know?
All right, that's fair.
You know when you write a novel and then you make sure that it seems like there should be another one and then you never write the second novel? That's the kind of thing that I like to do.
All right. But before you do that,
yep.
You know, I would just like to take this opportunity to tell you see if I ended it right there. That would be really frustrating.
That's not the kind of... So here's the thing. When you want to do something open-ended, you want to end something open-ended, it has to accomplish two things. The first thing is the person has to know that you've ended it, but they have to think that there is a sense of non-finality to it, so that there's a little bit of glimmer of hope. But they know that you did just end it, but you kind of looked at them in a certain way. So stopping a sentence in the middle of it is just awkward only,
that
right?
Didn't work. What about this?
Okay.
So with that, we want to tell you, did I even say English? Let me try that again. So with that, we just want to say goodbye and
now, one of the things you could have said.
That didn't quite do it either?
You could say goodbye for now. But that sounds like it's probably like Walter Cronkite's sign-off or something. But I do like that, for now. I do like for now.
All right, go for it. I'll let you do it. You do it.
Goodbye for now. Oh, but what if somebody's named for now? Then it's just like we just said goodbye to for now. Like, for now, that's a weird name. For now? For now. For now.
Let me try.
Okay.
Goodbye for the time being. What it is.
Okay.
For the time being, what it is.
It seemed like what was happening there is that you had commas. And then there was you don't want to end in a comma.
Let's just double team it.
I think we need to do it together.
Yeah.
And we need to say...
Just alternate words.
No, let's just say goodbye together, but with a question mark. That's the perfect ending.
But we don't say the word together.
How we just say goodbye, but we say it like... Yeah. Like somebody from New Zealand would say it.
Oh.
You know, they like to end all the sentences like this?
Yeah.
3, 2, goodbye.
Wreck baby, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, this is John from Kansas City. I just wanted to leave a quick rec here for all the listeners now that Ear Biscuits will be no longer. I recommend the old Ear Biscuits episodes, of which there are quite a few, and then I also recommend this new podcast called Dispatches from Myrtle Beach, with Charles Neal and his son Link from Good Mythical Morning.
Surprise a fellow Mythical Beast with a Mythical Store gift card or a Mythical Society membership. Plus, get 10% off a Mythical Society annual gift subscription when you give one now.